Go Jackets.
What is going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. We're in early signing period. Had a ton of kids commit yesterday, and if you missed the live show last night, we actually broke down film on some of these kids. I would highly recommend you watching it. If you haven't, I'm going to be referencing that some in this video. And what I want to do is start off with, before we kind of break the class down, 6 kind of takeaways that I have. Most of them good. I think there's a lot of things to be excited about with this class, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And we're going to talk portal too. I mean, when I say recruiting, I'm talking about recruiting and portal. You can't really separate them. And then one major thing that concerns me leading into this next season. So first and foremost, we were already really good on the offensive line this year. Probably the best offensive line play we've had in a decade or so. I mean, it's kind of hard to compare it with the Paul Johnson years because it was just a completely different way of blocking, but one of the best offensive lines in the conference. One freshman All-American, right? We got even better. So one huge pickup in the portal, Big Red, Keelan Rutledge, a kid that's coming out of Middle Tennessee State, highly sought after. We beat out Auburn and Clemson, and it does my heart good to beat out Clemson in a portal recruiting thing. It's Dabo's first year accepting kids in the portal because he's, taking L's on the field. And now he's had to change his tune. He's gotten off his moral high horse and realized, hey, you don't have to like it, but this is what college football is. You can get with the program or get gone. So, huge win with Keelan Rutledge. He'll probably replace Scaglione. And look, that is the only kid that we are not going to go into next season with off this starting offensive line. That is huge. The chemistry between your offensive linemen, I'll just say it, is more important than the chemistry between your wide receivers and quarterback. If you look at teams that are perennially successful in the NFL, look at their offensive lines and how long they've played together. Generally speaking, they played together for a while. Now, in the recruiting class, 2 kids that are 4 stars on at least one recruiting agency like On3, Rivals, 247, Jamison Riggs, huge get up. Another kid that we beat out Clemson to get from right up the road in Hiram, Georgia. Really excited about this kid. One of the kids I'm most excited about in this class. I don't think he'll play this year just because we have so much depth at the offensive line, but he could get rotated in. He's really talented. And then Kai Greer, kid we flipped at the last minute. He's also rated a 4-star on some, at least one of these recruiting agencies. And then Jordan Floyd. So 3, and I think we signed 5 or 6 in this class. We'll look more in depth into it, but 3 really good pickups at the offensive line. Where this offensive line, I said it in the live show last night, this coming up year and the year following, not only do I think they could be the best offensive line in the conference, they could be one of the best offensive lines in the country. It's going to be exciting to see. Offensively, if you're going to get anything right, it better be offensive line, and we've got that and more. So a lot to be excited about with that. 2, we are addressing issues we have at linebacker. We've taught that to death on other live shows. We know what we're lacking defensively. It starts with defensive line and linebacker. 2 big pickups in the portal at linebacker. E.J. Lightsey out of UGA, a kid, I don't know with playing time at UGA, but if you look in high school, all conference, all world, 3 borderline 4-star recruit, 4-star recruit on some agencies. Rated a 3-star in the portal. He's a big get. He's a kid that could come in and contribute day one. And also Jackson Hamilton out of Louisville. 2 kids that I expect will come in day one in the rotation with Ternelius Tatum. Sorely needed, big gets there. Keep in mind we're losing 3 linebackers. So we're losing Mola, we're losing Oliver, and we're losing Andre White. So we'll probably need at least one other kid that can step up. Well, I keep doing this. We have Efford coming back too. Efford, along with those 3 that I mentioned, we should be a better linebacker core this coming up season. Efford, probably consistently the best linebacker. We kind of forced Clayton Powell-Lee to play linebacker out of defensive back a lot. Anyways, point is we're better at linebacker. Good to see it. We signed Taj Butler. I think he's a really good get. Don't know if he'll be game ready as a freshman, but we'll probably need at least one other to step up, and Jordan Boyd. So happy to see we're bringing in more linebackers when we're losing a lot, and we got to get better there. Number 3, we had 2 really big flip pickups. Number 1 at defensive line with Montre Bradford. We flipped him from Colorado, which does my heart good because I'm really baffled at how, like, this isn't a Colorado video, but Dion, I think that is going to end very badly. He has the number 1 rated portal class. The problem he has, though, is at offensive line, and offensive line is not something you can plug and play 3 or 4 offensive linemen that have never played together and expect it to come out and be good out of the gate. It's just not going to happen. So I'm glad we beat out Colorado for him. Kid from Statesboro, Georgia. Kid that could come in and contribute game 1. I think he's very talented. And a kid that I do think will play a good number of snaps as a freshman. Anthony Carey, kid that was offered by Ohio State and just basically any school that you perceive to be good, he's been offered by. 4-star on at least one of these agencies reporting. A kid that has really everything you'd want. We broke down film of him last night in the live show. Again, go watch that. Great lateral movement, great explosive speed, great ball carrier vision. Kid that probably 2 years from now could be an all-conference running back for us. He has that amount of talent. It's going to be up to Tech to develop him. Probably the thing I'm most excited about, probably because it's a recent thing. Huge get for Tech with Anthony Carey. Huge kudos to Norville for getting him. Do not forget the name Anthony Carey. 4, we address tight end. So I think we've lost 3 tight ends, 2 that played a good bit with Benson and Leonard. We bring in the portal Jackson Hawes, kid from Yale, kid with a lot of experience, a lot of game snaps. I think he had 4 touchdowns last year. So I'm still not really sure what we're getting. We kind of do a disservice to tight ends because when we think of tight ends in today's college football, we look at receiving yardage, receiving touchdowns, and we kind of don't really look at their blocking. But I think he's definitely a kid. He'll come in and play, be a big contributor. Tight end I'm most excited about is Rylan Godey, kid that was at UGA. Just look, he was behind Washington. I can't ever remember people's names. Brock Bowers at UGA, transferred to Mississippi State. Obviously, they've gone through 2 coaching changes now. He gets to transfer without penalty, and he will be reunited with fellow teammate Brett Seither. So we've gotten better at the tight end room. The highest rated recruit we have on 247 is Luke Harpering. And I can't believe I did his father this justice. His father played basketball at Tech. Not only did he play basketball at Tech, he was the 15th overall pick in the NBA draft. I think in 1998. He's second all-time point scored at Tech, and he's second in a bunch of other stats. They retired his number 15, so he definitely bleeds white and gold, has that heritage. A kid that is listed at tight end, though they played him in the slot a lot, outside a lot, and played defensive end a lot. And it'll be interesting to see. I'm still not sure what side of the ball we're going to play him at. We have a huge need at defensive end. He's a little light at 210. He's 6'3", 6'4", 210. If he's going to play defensive end, he had to put a little bit of weight on. But I think he could play either position and contribute for Tech next year. So really excited to get Luke Harpering. Fifth takeaway I have. And this isn't controversial at all, in my opinion. This coming up year, Tech will have the deepest and best quarterback room they've had in program history. Now, I know we had Hamilton and Godsey on the same roster. That was 2 players. And they're in their all-time greats at Tech. We retain King, right, who could break all their records in the bowl game. We retain Zach Pyron, a huge guy. To get him to stay, we do lose Zach Gibson. And it's nothing against Zach Gibson. I think he's a great kid. Got the absolute most out of him when Pyron went down last year. But he was probably not going to play with everyone we have coming in and who we have on the roster now. But we have King, Pyron. Then we bring in Graham Knowles and Aaron Philo. Aaron Philo broke Trevor Lawrence's all-time passing record in the state of Georgia. And how he did it, we talked about on the live show last night, is what's impressive. Trevor Lawrence started all 4 years. Threw for like 3,400 yards each year. Aaron Philo didn't start his freshman year. He only had 188 yards passing his freshman year. He was behind Vandergriff, who just transferred out of UGA to Kentucky. But he did it with it being a year behind. So very impressive. We talked about, there's a little bit different level of play as offensive coordinator, Mark Rick, and actually Vandergriff's dad, I think, is the coach at Prince Avenue. So a lot of UGA ties, very interesting, and I think a win for us to get him in Atlanta. We broke down film on both these guys last night. Aaron Philo is about as technically sound and fundamentally sound quarterback as you're going to get probably out of high school looking at him. Now, Graham Knowles, speaking of Trevor Lawrence, I thought about it. I'm not saying he's as talented as Trevor Lawrence. He's not. But he's more that than not. A kid that's 6'6", 6'7", has good speed, has top-tier arm talent, velocity, placement. I do think needs to work on some fundamentals a little bit more, but man, I am just drooling at this quarterback room that we're going to have next year. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. We are really deep at quarterback coming into this year. Now, the bad, what I don't like. We do sign let's see, I think 4 defensive ends, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, 4 or 5 defensive ends in the class. Thing is, it's hard to expect a kid that's going to come in as a freshman and be a major contributor for you on defense, though the easiest position to do that at is probably defensive end. You don't have to have I guess the chemistry that you do on the offensive line. You can just say, hey, go get the quarterback. Figure out a way to get the quarterback, right? We lose 5 defensive ends. We lose our most effective pass rusher and defensive end with Kyle Kennard, who goes to South Carolina. And then pretty much everyone off last year's recruiting class that played defensive end. We only bring in 1 in the portal. And I think to take a significant step up on defense this year, we need 2 more game-ready, battle-tested, contributing defensive linemen out of this portal class. And I'm not seeing it, and it concerns me. It makes me think, if we're not able to rush the quarterback and plug holes, be run stoppers up front, can you say, we're going to be that much better on defense? If we go from 120th ranked to 100, I don't think that with our schedule next year, we might lose more games, even though we're slightly better on defense. We've got to take a significant step up on defense, and we need 2 more defensive linemen out of this portal class. Now, let's look at this in a little bit more detail. We got the 27th ranked portal class, which is good. I think aside from defensive line, and look, this isn't over as far as getting kids out of the portal. We need we've done a good job at addressing other areas of weakness in the portal. Now, we are ranked 41st on 247 for our recruiting class, 28th on rivals, and 36 on On3. So if you average that together, that's 35th ranked recruiting class. And that is about the back end of what I felt we should be. I really felt like it would be a huge win to be in the top 25. I think being 40 or better, I'll phrase it this way, is acceptable for this point under Key and the program rebuild. And it's not even as much maybe the recruiting class, but we got to get the right players to address the issues we have. So I'll switch screens here. We'll take a quick look and get out of here. We haven't talked. Isaiah Canyon is an absolute stud receiver in this class. We broke down film on him as well. Excellent route running, excellent speed, really headsy player. As deep as we are at wide receiver, Isaiah Canyon is so good, he will probably play as a freshman. Now, we also lose Keenan Johnson, big contributing defensive back for us, though we do bring in Warren Burrell. And who was the other kid? The kid from Rhode Island. Saeed Gibbs. Big get, top FBS player. So between those two kids, just in the portal, I think we addressed the loss of Keenan Johnson. And we go further than that. Troy Stevenson, really good player. Another kid I think that'll play out of the gate. We talked about Greer. We talked about Carey. Treshaun Griffin out of Centerville, Alabama. Between him and Landon Marshall I'm really high on. I've talked about him before. I think one of the two of these will get a significant amount of snaps this coming season, especially if we can't get, 2 more kids, 1 or 2 more kids out of the portal. One of these kids is going to have to step up and find a way to contribute for Tech. Hopefully, Yanjuan will be 100% coming into this season. You never really know with the type of injury he had. Jordan Boyd as well. We talked about Butler, Philo. Trey Horn's an interesting kid, a kid out of Raven Gap. He was a borderline 4-star to start the season. Seems like he's dropped down to a 3-star, but a kid that's got a lot of speed, another kid that's a really headsy player, a kid that you could probably play in the slot or outside. I think he's a good get for Tech. Don't think he'll play this coming up year. David Prince, tight end, I honestly don't know a lot about. Trelane Maddox I think he's a running back. He's listed as an athlete, plays both ways out of Parkview. He'll be reunited at Tech with Jordan Floyd on the offensive line. They both played at Parkview. And, another kid that I'm kind of high on, Uchi. I never know how to pronounce his name, if it's Ilo or Io. Kid out of Peachtree City. Like I said, what we're not addressing in the portal with defensive line, we are addressing in the recruiting class. So it is good to see that. All in all, if I had to, kind of grade this on how pleased I am, A, B, C, or D, I'd probably give this a solid B for where we are right now. B or a B minus. I'm happy to see that we're addressing issues at linebacker, defensive end in the recruiting class, flipping a kid, bringing in a running back. We're losing Dante Smith. So we're going to need a kid that can come in. And by the way, Anthony Carey, I can't believe I forgot to say this. This is a kid that said, I want to come in and be a freshman All-American too. I'm going to come in and be a freshman All-American at Tech. Us having 2 freshman All-Americans, I didn't even mention that we're retaining Eric Singleton Jr., who said he was contacted, even though he didn't hit the portal. But, hey, somehow this is fine. This is fine, whatever. I got to let that go. But, and I don't think that's a dig at Jamal Haynes. I think they could split carries. Carey could come in, have 800 yards, 300 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns, play special teams, kick returns and stuff, and be a freshman All-American. Us having 2 freshmen All-American, though, I think really helped land him, and this is how we get better. One, we got to get better at recruiting, but when you have a proven track record of developing players like this, it really helps you in recruiting. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. We will be streaming the game 6:30 tomorrow. Gasparilla Bowl. I'm excited. I've said before, I think this game's going to come down to whoever plays defense less bad. Check us out. Me and C-Dog will be on that. Y'all have a good one.